At least for me, one of the least used stationery tools that I use in my bullet journal are colored pencils, which is crazy because I feel like this is a very accessible stationery tool for beginners. I mean, what did we use to color with in elementary school? Colored pencils. So I want to encourage you guys and myself to use these more just in general and specifically in a bullet journal. Now, I want to give a big thank you to Woomer. They sent me this pack of 72 colored pencils that I'm going to test for you guys today. And I also want to make some art and just do a chill draw with me because it's really just a medium that I feel like we underappreciate. So just to do a little unboxing first, like I said, there are 72 colored pencils in here. And when we open up the box, it's so satisfying to see like all of these colors in a row. And then also under this layer, we have a second row right below it. So here's one of the colored pencils close up. We have the color on the side, which is nice for swatching, and all the pencils already come ready and pre-sharpened, which is really nice because I hate having to go through the process of sharpening my own colored pencils. What's also great that may seem like a super small thing is this is a completely round pencil. I've had many colored pencils where it's almost like octangular, like there are edges around the side of the pencil, if that makes sense, but this one is completely round, so super comfortable to hold and is not gonna like dig into your fingers when you're using the pencil. What's also nice is this like paper cover that came over the box is actually on the inside, if you can see that, a swatch sheet. So if I can pull these two pieces apart from each other, inside we have two full sheets where we can do all the color swatching. Okay, not gonna lie, the AC in here is a blastin', but we're gonna try our best with the voiceover. So as you guys know, swatching is the best part of getting new stationery, so this was incredibly satisfying to just go through all the colors and using their swatch sheet and just testing them out. Now, one thing I wanted to specifically talk about is the light fastedness of the colored pencils. Now, if you don't know what that means, that's okay. I didn't either, but I did my little research, and light fastedness means that the colored pencils are not going to fade over time when they're exposed to sunlight. So if you see all the little numbers under each swatch, like the numbers 4 or 5, that tells you how light fast it is, and the higher number is better because the higher number, like number 5, means that it's extremely light fast and is not going to fade at all in sunlight, whereas a lower number would fade a little bit. All of these colored pencils are either 3 or 5, so they are all super strong, which is great because that means you can display your artwork like in a picture frame or something like that, and the exposure to sun is not going to make the colors any lighter or lessen the saturation of your drawing. Also, as I was swatching, I was noticing just the smoothness of all of these colored pencils. Like, they really went on like butter. It's hard to explain, but you know when you use some more cheap colored pencil brands and they're kind of scratchy and like give you goosebumps when you draw with them, these are not like that. They're very soft and smooth to use with, and I'm just imagining they're going to be great for blending, but we'll really be able to test that later on when I make some art with them later in this video. I also want to talk about the variety of colors here. We have a lot of different hues and shades of each color, so we're not just getting like 3 different greens, 3 different purples. Like, there is a large variety of each, which is great because especially for me, I like to do a lot of shadows and a lot of like depth in my drawings. I don't like just flat color, so whenever I draw, I want to have lighter and darker shades and warmer and cooler tones of each individual shade of the rainbow. So it was really nice to see the good variety in here. I think there are so many options and would be perfect for anyone who is starting with colored pencils or any other art medium and just wants to expand their stationery collection. This is a great pack to get. Now, I know I don't often use colored pencil on this channel, and it's because usually in my bullet journal I like to use markers because markers in general are of course more saturated and they're the more common stationery tool I feel with bullet journaling. But I made this video because I think that colored pencils are great. I used to be a huge colored pencil girl. I would make a lot of very realistic art, especially in like middle school and high school, and I really like that era of my art because I spent a lot more time on shadows and blending, whereas now I like to use more, I wouldn't say abstract, but definitely more messy and kind of organic blending and shading. I don't know how to explain it, but basically I feel like colored pencils, since they are much lighter and blend so well, are really good for more realistic drawings and for more lifelike images, if that makes sense. Anyway, what I'm trying to say here is I haven't used them in a hot second, so it was really fun to kind of play around with a different medium that I haven't used in a while. I am drawing in my sketchbook just because I didn't know what spread I wanted to make in my bullet journal, but I do think that any of the drawings that I'm going to be making here today can easily be transformed into a bullet journal theme. I tried to make a variety of different images. Like on the top left, I'm doing a stained glass window. Then I'm going to have a little sprig of flowers in the bottom right. I have a mountain landscape in the top right corner, and then there's going to be a greenhouse in the bottom left. So multiple different images, but in order to tie them all together, I used the same style of flower and the same color palette, the way it all looked very cohesive. Now, I didn't just create these ideas on my own. I did have inspiration from Pinterest. So I'll put a couple images here on the screen of pictures from Pinterest that inspired me to make these drawings. I want to give credit where credit is due. But overall, I was just really excited to do this video, and I'm really glad that I did, because not gonna lie, sitting down and coloring for a couple hours, like, I know I was gonna enjoy the process of making this art, but I really did like genuinely just chill, sit at my desk and draw, and the time like flew by. It was so much fun. I really like how this turned out. It's honestly very simple. Like, it may look complicated because of the shading, but it's a very beginner friendly drawing, especially the stained glass window and the sprig of flowers on the bottom right. Like, I'm basically just using one base color and then adding another layer of slightly darker of that color for shadows. Sometimes I would add a third layer. Like, for example, the orange flowers at the bottom right had a light peachy base tone, and then there was orange shadows on top, and then I used a little bit of brown to add a little bit more detail. But as a whole, it's just very simple, just layering and blending. And one thing I really loved about these colored pencils is they are super easy to blend. Like, coming from someone who's been using markers for the past couple of years and sometimes has to work a little bit to get markers to blend, these honestly blended so easily. I didn't even have to try. It's just you layer them on top of each other. Like, you go light, then dark, and then go back in the middle between them with a little bit of light again. It's like this very, very smooth gradient without having to try at all. It's such a nice breather compared to using markers all the time. It was so easy and very, very satisfying. So I definitely recommend these colored pencils for blending because it made life so simple. Now, one thing about colored pencils also that is very obvious that you can see is they are a much softer, much lighter medium. Like, when you use marker, you swipe one bit of marker and the entire piece of paper that you just swiped over is completely covered. Like, you better hope that you put the marker where you want it to be, because it is there now and it's there to stay. But with colored pencils, they are much lighter. You have to use layers, almost like watercolor. Like, just one single layer of colored pencil is not going to fully cover the page. It's not going to be very saturated. It's going to be very light and pastel. And if that's the vibe that you're looking for, you want a more lighter, softer look, this is definitely the medium to go for. My sister loves that. She loves light pastels. She loves very soft, pretty artwork. So I'm sure she would love to try these colored pencils. But also, I feel that I also like when things are, you know, colored in. I like light designs, true, but I like to have shadows. I like to have depth. And so overlaying the colored pencil over each other in multiple layers was really the trick for this. I really did this on the image in the top right corner. So as you can see, I am drawing this background with mountains, a sunset, and then there are trees and a river. Very, very simple landscape, but I think it's really cute and wholesome. However, the trees that I first did with the dark green were kind of see-through. They were not very dark at the beginning. So once I finished the sky, I went over them again with another layer of dark green. I went over a couple times, just added and built up more and more and more. And the more that I added and the more that I blended, the better it looks. So honestly, this is one of those things you kind of just have to let time and effort and repetition just kind of lull you into continue adding and continue layering. And at the end, it really, really pops and really looks good. So you can definitely get a lot of depth with colored pencils if you just continue layering and continue working at it. But also, it's very forgiving because since it is done in light layers, it's a slower process. You don't have to worry about putting marker down and then putting it in the wrong spot and being annoyed by it. Like, it's really just a matter of slow blending and working over time. And so it's really great. Again, if you're a beginner, this is a medium I totally recommend. For the image in the bottom left corner, like I said, I did a greenhouse. So this one was kind of interesting because I actually didn't use any line art for this entire like spread. Usually for marker art, and I keep comparing this color pencil to marker art, but it's because I use markers more often in my bullet journal, so I'm trying to like, you know, compare the two. Anyway, but usually I would do line art with like black or a darker version of the colors, and I'm going with marker afterwards. But with this one, if there is any outlining, I'm doing it with a darker colored pencil. So everything, even the line art, is very soft. It's very muted because it is literally just colored pencil. It's not like like ink or pen or anything. So for the picture at the bottom, because I didn't do any line art, it's just a little pencil that I'm coloring over. Everything was very loose and organic. Like all the flowers, I basically just put wherever I wanted. I didn't even sketch them out first. I just kind of haphazardly threw them around. Same thing with the vines and the leaves coming down from both the pots at the bottom of the picture and also coming down from the ceiling of the greenhouse. It's all just very random and natural, and I just kind of let my pencil take me where it wanted to go, and that's just like how I came out with this final image. I mean, don't get me wrong, I did have a pencil sketch first, okay? But as far as the flowers and the vines went, it was super easy. Vines and flowers, like, you really can't go wrong with them. It's very, very simple to just kind of make them go everywhere, and it always looks good. But as far as line out goes, specifically for, and you'll see this towards the end too, the actual greenhouse itself, like the door and the window and the ceiling, has a lot of like light coming in. I mean, it's a greenhouse, so obviously it's a lot of like windows, but I wanted to make it very clear like where the actual like wood beams of the ceiling are and where the windows are, etc. So I outlined them with a dark gray first, even though the wood is technically supposed to be white, and then I'm going to add a little bit of gray shadow in later, so you'll see this as I finish coloring. But basically the absence of color is what kind of made those parts pop. I left them mostly blank, and I didn't even use like a white color pencil. I mostly just like used negative space, let the paper be the white there, and that really made the entire picture come together because there's a lot of muted tones, a lot of coloring around the same values because all of the browns and greens are kind of around the same shade, etc. However, letting that white pop really brought the entire photo together, and I think this is one of my favorites out of the 4 here. I don't know, it's kind of hard to pick though. I really do like all of them, and I think because of the very similar color palette that I used between these 4 different images, I think the spread as a whole looks very cohesive. So comment down below which one is your favorite. I'd be very curious to know. But yeah, this was super satisfying. I really enjoyed this process. Like I said, the time really just flew by. I was actually surprised. I looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 2 hours. It feels like literally 20-30 minutes. Like, it was kind of crazy. But overall, yeah, I'm super happy with this, and I hope you guys enjoyed this little draw with me. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more of these, because I don't post many just artsy videos, but this was super fun, and I'd love to create more of this kind of content for you guys if you are interested. I want to give a big shout out to Wimmer for sponsoring this video and sending me this amazing pack of colored pencils. There's so much variety in here, and it was so much fun testing out these pencils and making some art with them. If you want to check out Wimmer Stationery, we'll have a link to their products in the description box below. And as always, subscribe because I post new bullet journal and art videos every single Saturday. Send you guys so much love. Have an amazing week. And if you want to watch my November weekly spread video that I posted last week, I will have it linked right here on the screen.